Now you want to take a damp beauty blender, and you also want to blend that down to the lid because we're going to need a base for all those bright colors about to apply. I did not clean my beauty blenders. Oh well. Okay, so dampen that up really nicely. Take whatever's on the back of your hand, whatever's left, and then start blending that onto your lid. Before I set the base that we just laid down, I'm going to add a little bit of the NYX White Professional to my eyelid, just because we're going to add on a lot of like purples and pinks and stuff like that. So I want to make sure that our eyes really take to the color. So the same concealer brush that I'm using, obviously wipe it off a little bit, or your white is going to get really dirty. But I'm just going to add a little bit of that to my lid, just kind of dot it all over and blend it out. And it should definitely help with holding onto that color a little bit more. With a brush, because you don't want too much powder on there. You still want the eyeshadow to have something to stick to. So I'm taking a little bit, whatever's left on the lid when I turn it over. So I'm going to flip my powder upside down. And then whatever's left on the lid, I'm going to use that to set my eyes, because you don't want a lot of powder on your eyes. You just want something that's going to hold that base. So like literally this much powder, like that's totally fine. It's this much powder. Dust it around on a brush, which I got from Ipsy. Like this brush is so freaking cute. Like, oh my god. But okay, so yeah, you're going to set your eyes with that. Quick set. Matte Clay from the Ulta palette. And I'm going to be using my double-sided blending brush to add that right to my eyes. Just to add a little bit of color and dimension, because we're going to be playing a lot of pinks and purples. So you don't want to be too neutral when you're adding your blending colors, but you want to have something for everything to sit on. And it'll add a lot of dimension to your eyes. That same brush that we just applied that matte brown with, you want to take the second lightest pink from the Glam Pro palette. I'm going to use this one right here. Oh my god. Okay. You want to take that second pink color from the Glam Pro palette, this one right here, and that's going to start going into the crease of your lid and adding in that pink color so that we can add in those purple dimensions later. This palette has so much fallout. Oh my god. But look at the pigment on that though. Okay. So yeah. Okay, we're going to take the same brush and go in with the purple color next, just so we can blend it into the lid. We're going to go in a little bit deeper on the lid on the crease right here. And that's where we're going to put that purple. So we're starting to darken the lids up a little bit now. Now that we've darkened those lids up a bit, we're starting to add more color into the crease. We're going to go in with this brush right here. It's like a regular brush, no one cares. But we're going to darken it up a little bit with this purple. I'm going to take this purple out of the Glam Pro palette and add that into the eye folds of your lids so that you start to darken up the color. What you want to start doing now is really cutting the crease. So you see how I went in between my eye folds? I'm going to start cutting the crease with that darker purple so that I can blend it in, and that's a sharper transition from my eyes. Next, I'm taking this angled fluffy brush and I'm going to dip into Indigo from the Violet Voss palette, as well as this darkest purple from the NYX palette, and start blending it out on the outer sides of my eyes so that we start darkening up the purple. Once those two dark purple colors are laid down, we're going to take a smaller brush and add a little bit of dark to the edges to make sure that when we cut the white in our crease, that it's going to really pop out a lot. So I'm taking that black from that Glam Pro palette right here, and I'm just going to add a pop of that to the outer corners of my eye and blend it out really seamlessly. Once we added that black on top of the Violet Voss and the NYX colors that we did, we're going to go back in with the Glam Pro palette and that really electric purple, and we're going to start cutting our crease again. So I'm going to mix in that electric purple and that little bit of shimmery purple right under, and we're going to start really carving out so that when we put on our white, it pops. Once you've added that electric color and you're finished blending in the seams of your eyes, you're going to go back in with that NYX white so that we can carve out our eyes, make them really pop, and set it with white shadow. It might not be the neatest, and that's okay. Like, it's pretty hard to do. Like, you're gonna move around a lot, your eyelids are gonna move. Like, it's totally fine. We're gonna set this with white shadow to make sure it stays and doesn't slide around on you, because the cream could be really thick. So we're gonna go back with that Glam Pro palette, which has a really nice white shadow. Like, I haven't really found anything else like that. So we're gonna go in with this white shadow right here on the Glam Pro palette, and we're just gonna set that, not messily, but, you know, just pretty much set it all over our eyelids. Once that's set with white shadow, we're going to go and clean up all these little lines that we messed up. So don't be nervous if you mess up. Like, it's going to be totally fine. We're going to clean it back up anyway. We're going to go and take that very electric purple that we used from the Glam Pro palette, and we're just going to add that right back to our eyes, and just to clean up a little bit where we cut our crease. And we're going to mix it with this, like, I don't know what to call that, like a turquoise. That's not a turquoise. That is not a turquoise color. But we're going to mix it with this kind of bluish color just to add a little bit of difference to the lid of our eyes. And we're going to take it on a really sharp brush so that it's going to really help define our eyes a lot more. And it's just going to dust away any of that white that you put on initially. It's going to help blend it out a lot more. Now that our lashes are finally on, we're going to start working on our skin. So I'm going to put on the Glam & Glow Moisturizer, and I'm going to mix that in with a little bit of the NYX Liquid Illuminizer, and this is in the shade L104 Sun Goddess. So I'm going to put about like a dime size amount into my hand of both. So about like that much for the Glam & Glow Moisturizer. And then for the NYX Glow, we're just going to add a little bit, like right on top of that. We're going to mix it and literally just rub it all over our face, just to make sure it moisturizes. And it's going to help our skin come out a lot better in the end, because it's going to add a little bit of shine, a little bit of glow. Now that our face is dry, my hyperpigmentation hasn't been that bad, so I stopped color correcting with an orange, and I can just go in with a really deep brown and just conceal my under eye circles and little things like that that I have all over my face. But my hyperpigmentation isn't that bad, so we're just going to go in with the NYX contour stick and just correct under our eyes with a light brown, and then we're going to blend that in with either a brush or a beauty blender. So I'm going in with the Maybelline Fit Me in the color 368, and I'm going to be applying that. I'm going to put it on the back of my hand first to warm it up. It'll make it a lot easier. And like I said, we don't need a lot of foundation because we already have that base on, so I'm probably going to use about this much, which a little goes a long way. With this foundation is actually really good. So I'm going to apply that with a beauty blender first, a damp beauty blender, and then we're going to even it out with a brush. Now there's no redness, like you don't have to try to cover anything up with concealer. Like, it's just a nice matte finish, but it's still very glowy, and it smells so good. Like, literally, the Glam & Glow, it smells like, I don't know, it smells like cotton candy, but like fruits at the same time. It's so good. So it makes your skin smell really good, and it's really good for your skin. So for concealer, because we don't have to try to hide anything anymore, now we're only just covering, you know, like our smile lines and things like that. You can use the Bye Bye Under Eye by IT, and I'm going to use the white and the brown from the NYX Cosmetic Contour Stick. I'm going to blend those colors together and then use it on all my highlight points. while we're baking, we want to start to darken up my under eyes. So I'm taking this kind of dome-shaped fluffy brush, and I'm going in back into the Glam Pro Forever palette, and I'm going to take that vibrant purple, this black, and this dark purple from the NYX palette, and just smudge that all under my eyes. And then I'm going to add a dark eyeliner into my waterline to smudge everything out. Once you smudge out that eyeshadow, you're going to take a liner, and this one is called Sex Kitten by Tarte. I didn't buy this, it came in my ISBE bag, but it has good reviews, so let's try it and see if I actually like it. Now, if you're going to do anything in your waterline, I would suggest using that same beauty blender that you baked with and just pulling your eye down a little bit, just so that you don't get fingerprints and everything all over everything you just baked. And then just fill in your waterline, focusing most of the dark part on the outer edge. So now that our bake is almost done, we're going to wipe this all off, and then we're going to do our contour. So I'm going to take, I don't know what I would really call this, but it's kind of dome shaped, but it's kind of angled at the same time, but the bristles are really thick, and you're looking for something thick that you can wipe off all of that powder with, and it won't mess up anything else that you've done. And it's also going to take out all of that fallout, and if you messed up putting on that liner in your waterline, it's also going to dust that away too. So it's perfect to do your baking before you do anything under your eyes. I spritzed on my face, and I was gonna contour, but then I realized I hit pan. So I'm gonna have to improvise and go in with the e.l.f. palette in the darkest brown shade that we have. Take an angled fluffy brush and spritz it down with some water, and then just apply my contour in kind of a 3 shape to make sure that you get a really chiseled cheekbone. And as you can see, we set where we highlighted here, so it's gonna make sure that that harsh contour, if we get it on there, it's not gonna be too prominent. So we're going to take that and we're going to dust it on in that 3 shape. And it's going to help chisel out your bones a lot more. To add some color to my face, I'm going to be taking the NYX bronzer in the shade Passion. And on a slightly angled dome brush, I'm going to be applying that to the sides of my cheek where I contoured and the top of my temples, just to add a little bit of color, and it's going to add a little bit of shimmer too. Next, I'm going to be taking the e.l.f. blush palette in the shade Dark, and I'm going to be mixing these 2 bottom colors together. And on a wet brush, I'm just going to apply a little bit of that to the sides of my cheeks. Not really the apples, just like right here where we contoured. You don't want too high of a concentration of that pink because we already have a lot of pink in our eyes. So you just want to dab a little bit onto the sides. I'm going to be using the Luna highlighter, and this is in the shade Luna, obviously. But and then I'm going to be using the Anastasia Beverly Hills Glow Kit. So first I'm going to put on that Luna, and I'm going to add those to my highlight points, so my cheekbones, my nose, my cupid's bow, my chin, and my eyebrows, and a little bit on my forehead. Going back into the eyes, I'm going to take that Violet Voss palette one more time, and we're going to just do some nice glitter work on our inner corners. So I'm going to be taking indigo and violet, and I'm going to mix those together on a really small lip brush, and I'm going to put those on my inner corners. To that liner, I'm going to add e.l.f. in the color Brushing Brown, and I'm going to fill my lips in with that, and then I'm going to put on Marc Jacobs Kiss Kiss Bang Bang in the color 216, and I'm going to fill my lips in with those, and then we're finished. Purple rain, purple rain, purple rain, purple rain. I just need a girlfriend.